Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show. My name is Agnes van Rhijn, and I'm a life and business success mentor at Success on Your Own Terms. I help professional women reach their fullest potential in life and in business without giving up who they are and what is important to them. I'm also the founder of the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show, and today it is my privilege to be interviewing Jo Baldwin-Trott. At 23, Jo achieved her ambition to be a police officer. 7 years later, she gained a teaching degree and became a primary school teacher. But after 3 years, having left her husband, she struggled to find teaching jobs that worked with 2 small children. That's how she started her first business, styling and selling pre-loved clothes. 2 years later, she moved from Bristol to Oxfordshire and established Colour First, her current business, which, although it was following the same principles, had a very different business model than it currently has. Most of her clients being in London, she moved there and is now a sought-after, trusted and passionate stylist. Welcome to the Woman Who Makes Things Happen show, Jo. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Agnes, and thank you for having me on the show.
It's such a pleasure to have you on the show. Jo is a member of one of my Athena groups. She joined it recently, but is a member of Athena for quite a long time already. And I'm really delighted that she decided to join one of the Athena Central London groups. So I'm absolutely delighted to have her share her story with us today. So Jo, tell us more about your story. Start wherever you want.
Okay, well, I guess I was an unusual child because I always knew what my ambition was. My ambition was to become a police officer. I wanted to achieve that goal. I wanted to get a degree first and then become a police officer with all the things that brings for the rest of my life. That's my career choice. And I was quite sort of pleased that I had the decision made, and from probably about 6 or 7, very young. So that was my aim, and I went through my journey. I travelled for a year, I got everything out of my system, I did my degree, and then joined the police. And very quickly realised actually this wasn't for me.
So Jo, if I may interrupt you, at the beginning, what is it that was, leading you to the police like that? What was so attractive about it?
So looking back, and now I've sort of matured and realised what the calling was. I didn't have the easiest of childhoods, and I wanted a job that gave me status. And I believed, because there were some friends of ours, family friends that were police officers, and everyone looked up to them, and everyone respected them, and about how amazing they were, and what a great career. And actually, I think looking back, I was trying to prove something to someone, and I know who that is. And I was trying to become that important person that everyone looked up to. But actually, the realistic situation was that it was probably one of the least likely careers for someone like me to do, because it requires such a lot of power, male energy, and it was a very negative environment to work in. And I find it very, very tough from a very early start. Even the point of my interview, when I walked in and it was me and 9 men at my first course in the police. So from very early on, I had to deal with being the only female around, and it was tough, very, very tough.
So how long did you hold?
Amazingly, I lasted 7 years.
7 years.
I probably could have lasted 1, but I'm stubborn, and also there's a stigma with the police, and so many police officers stay in the job because of the wonderful retirement package and the pension scheme, which is known to be amazing, and the pay is amazing, and all these other things. But realistically, I did various jobs. I was a plainclothes officer. I investigated fraud. I looked after community and did all sorts of things. The community policing was probably the best thing I enjoyed and got more out of. But constantly underlying all, I felt very unfulfilled. I struggled dealing with all the negativity. I dealt with some incredible things. I was nearly blown up. I was nearly called off the suspension bridge of Bristol. I dealt with armed incidents. All these things gave me a lot of inner strength, and I value them now. And they've been my my jewels, my gems that I've looked and I draw on when things are tough. And I look back and I think, I've dealt with that. I can deal with this. You know, nothing. When you've put yourself tested it yourself emotionally to that degree. I've dealt with some horrible road traffic accidents. You face such horrible things. I often say to people, nothing phases me now. Truly, truly nothing, because it can't.
You've seen the worst.
I've pretty much seen the worst. I've seen the worst of humanity. But after 7 years, I was almost suffering depression when I left, because I just found it very unfulfilling that the court cases weren't coming to fruition. I had sexual harassment, bullying, and I guess I don't look like the average police officer. So I sort of, had a few problems with that. So eventually my second calling, which actually isn't dissimilar to being a police officer, was teaching. And again,
I'm not surprised. Yeah, makes sense.
It happens quite a lot with ex-police officers, but again, I was searching for that authority, that kind of being an important person. Also, ultimately just trying to help people. Just trying to sort of achieve something with my day, and not just do a job that earned money, but do something that made a difference to people. So teaching was my second calling. So I did a second degree in teaching children, which was very, very fulfilling, but the most exhausting job I've ever done in my life. It really is.
So, from what I understood from your story, it then was the lack of possibility, because then you left your husband, so you were with your young children, and of course you need to be coping with them and working, not necessarily easy. So that's when the challenge came in, that you couldn't find the teaching jobs that you were looking for. So what made you then turn to your second, how do you call them, this loved clothes, or no, pre-loved?
Pre-loved clothes, yeah. So I've always been into style and fashion. I've always had, all the fashion magazines, devoured them. I'm very creative, and always had a passion for colour as well, and but followed fashion and style. And I could take you back 10 years and tell you what was in Marie Claire then. It's ingrained in me, or the style of Britain, and I think we're very lucky in this country, nation, to have such an eclectic style that's evolved over years. So I've always been into that, and my gran was one of the first women to run a pre-loved clothes shop in Bristol, and it was called War on Want, and it was post-war. It literally was, let's offer secondhand clothes to people that can't afford new ones. And I used to sit at the till with her. It's probably a box then, wasn't it? Thinking about it, that was probably a little box with the money in. And I thought, this is amazing. It's something resonated with me. So when I left my husband, I thought, actually, this might be the time to start something I love doing. I'd had a colour analysis just after my children were born, and it was transformational. It truly was. I was absolutely blown away by what colour did to my skin tone, my look, when I was probably the most exhausted I'd ever been. I was, feeding 2 children. They were 3 months old. I have twins, so I was constantly tired. And these colours that I never thought I could ever wear were put next to me, and they lifted my skin tone. So I came up with the concept of looking at colour and guiding people to buy pre-loved clothes that were of good value. To be honest, at that point, I didn't really have the confidence to do what I do now, because I didn't really feel like I could be a colour consultant.
So what made you think that?
I think I just truly had a battering. I'd failed. I'd failed in my police. This is how I saw it at the time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's how you saw it.
Yeah, at the time I thought I'd failed at that. I'd failed at being a teacher. I wasn't doing that now. I thought, I can just do something that's selling clothes. That's easy. And also, I didn't want to push myself. didn't want to be in the spotlight. I'd been in the spotlight a lot. I put myself in a situation where, you know, when I was in the police, I presented to 200 people in a community about the crime problems. Teaching, you're obviously in the spotlight. So I took myself out of the spotlight because it felt more comfortable.
Comfortable, of course.
And kind of easy. But I actually started a joint business with a lovely lady called Maureen, and we came up with Mojo. But I really very quickly realised that actually this isn't doing this for me. I wanted something more, and then I bumped into the lady who gave me a colour analysis, and she said, Jo, you can see colour better than I can. You have an actual talent for seeing skin as a colour that I don't have. You must qualify as a colour consultant and an image consultant. And I said, I'm sorry, Charlie, I just don't have the money. I truly don't have the money. And I was reading a very well-known book called The Secret at the time, which I have a slightly different opinion on at the moment, now, sorry, but at the time it was so helpful to suddenly grasp the fact that actually I can take control of this situation. I can visualize and create a new life for myself, and I can find this inner strength to do something that is challenging, but actually is what I want to do. It's my calling. It felt like just the most, because I love helping people. I'm passionate about colour and bright colours, and showing people how you can actually feel different about yourself, because I used to hate my skin. I hated the colour of my skin. I struggled finding any clothes to wear. And you can actually embrace all of that and say, just as you are, exactly as you are, you can feel and look amazing. Actually look and feel amazing. It should be that way.
It's hard to imagine when we see you now and when we know you now that that's the place you were in. But anyway.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, no, I have an unusual skin tone for this country. I have a cool skin tone which has got a blue undertone. Most skin tones in this country have a yellow undertone. So when all my friends were wearing peaches and kind of they can get away with wearing black, all these colours looked terrible on me, and I just thought there's something wrong with me. I can't look good in anything. I had a huge hang up about colours and dress and clothes when I was younger. I probably didn't show it too much, but underneath it, I used to make time to make up for it.
So Jo, we've had I would say more or less the chronology of the story. What I would be interested in is for you to tell us about your challenges in that process. Again, we all have life throwing us stuff in the way. A lot of people women in particular, are being stopped by it. They have those dreams, but they don't go any further. What I like particularly in what you're describing is that you've had a first dream, you've had a second dream, and you moved into another. And it's absolutely okay to say, no, I made a mistake, this was not the right one, and I move forward to something else. So tell us a bit more about the challenges that you've been facing in the process.
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest challenges was, aside from the kind of the fairly obvious ones of the fear, so going it alone as an entrepreneur is probably one of the most scariest things you can actually do, because you are creating a business around you. But that's what I wanted to do, and I think they're the most powerful businesses. So my biggest challenge was the fear of not being good enough at what I can do, to charge what I charge, to create a business around it. I knew I was okay, but thankfully a couple of people along the way, and certainly through our networking group, came up with something, a nugget at the time, and said, look, you are good at this, you can do it. And at that time, I suddenly really believed it, which was, so that sort of self-belief is without doubt the biggest challenge. Another huge challenge was actually what other people thought. So I've kind of changed my personal network, because where I used to live, you know, you're a single mom. You just work in a shop, or I could have gone back to school working in the canteen, because that would work with the hours. I couldn't teach easily because I didn't have any childcare options. didn't have any family supporting that. So actually, there's definitely a kind of stigma attached to single mums that actually, well, you just need to get a job and just earn the money, and just, that's what's expected of you. And I came up against quite a lot of negativity about going it alone. So, well, what are you doing? How you're risking everything. You're risking your children. And suddenly the burden becomes quite huge. So again, it's that digging deep and thinking, well, I am, but this is a short-term predicament. The long-term aim is to make things better for me and my children, and to improve my income and create better fulfillment for me, and set a role model for them. Because I wasn't happy. I was working in a clothes shop. I did that for 2 years. I worked for almost the minimum wage. I mean, but actually that was great, because it was the validation for me to think, this is not what I want to do for the rest of my life. That's my calling. But so again, but you're the only, as a single mum, you're the only one that can tell you that. A couple of my friends did, but really it was me that had to tell me that I can do this, and I can make it work, and create that visualization, that focus, to do it. And then obviously the challenges were financial.
May I just come back to the previous challenge, Jo? And I think it was in the last interview that I did that we were talking about that as well. It's this notion of base camp. So you were surrounded by people who were negative, and that is not an easy place to be in, and definitely a lot of women are facing that, because a lot of people have all those preconceived ideas about what you should be doing with your life. So I know that one of the first steps that I work around with my clients is, what is their base camp? Who are the people they can rely on, and who are the people who have a negative energy and that they need to keep on a distance as best as they can. How have you been dealing with that situation of being surrounded by people who weren't good for you? Have you handled it alone, or did you search elsewhere for any form of support?
The networking group, I think that absolutely opened the door to my new base camp. I had some lovely friends where I was, and initially when I started my business, I had a second long-term relationship after my marriage. So we had lots of joint friends, but actually that relationship ended. So actually my base camp changed very dramatically, because I wasn't in a couple anymore, and I lived in a beautiful place, but it was very family orientated. So I was one of the few single mums. I was trying to run a business. I was trying to put my children in childcare to get my business better, and doing all the things that nobody else was really kind of doing in where I was in that area. And it's lovely, and the people were lovely. But thankfully, and after way too long, I dragged my heels along to the Athena network. And and suddenly it was, for so many reasons, which I could talk for hours about, but for one reason particularly, I suddenly realized I'm in like-minded people.
Yeah.
These women have had previous careers, they've made big choices, some don't have husbands that support them. At least I didn't have anyone criticizing me, not at home anyway.
That was a good change.
Yeah, but because sadly some women do, don't they? It's like, well, what do you want to do that for? But I didn't have that, but I was surrounded suddenly by a different tribe, as I say, and the tribe were all singing the same song, a similar song to me, which was, I want to create a business about me that works for me. I want to make a difference, and I have big plans, big ambitions. And as a result of joining that networking group, I can hand on heart say my business really started taking off, and I can hand on heart say, because of that group, I'm now living in London. All of that gave me confidence to truly believe and truly kind of make the changes, take those big leaps of faith when you say, I'm out of my comfort zone now, but I'm going to do this because it feels right. And now I'm living an absolute life that I really truly love, and I love living in London. And I'm in leafy London, so it's not crazy busy, But yeah, just and now I've got a whole new tribe. That just this morning I was with the start of a new tribe in the area I live, and it's just so exciting because they're people that are like-minded, and it's just almost an up.
Yeah, it makes such a difference. So definitely one very valuable tip is to say that don't stay in isolation, and even if it's not necessarily geographically around you, location-wise, make sure that you find like-minded people to surround you with. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. And and it's not that what I could, and I had quite not an easy divorce, and that gave me that big lesson because I lost a lot of family and friends after my divorce. And I realized, although it was a very tough lesson to learn, but I realized actually to follow your path and follow your dream, you have to have people around you that will support you,
Yeah.
not people that will want to drain you. And actually, and that's fine. And you don't need to do it in a very dramatic fashion. You don't need to have, an EastEnders moment and say, oh, well, you're not my friend anymore. You simply you're grateful for their friendship, but you need to sometimes and often let friendships, relationships go so you can move on to the next stage of your life. And it's the same in business and personal, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So to move again back to your financial challenges, is there anything there that you would like to talk about?
Well, again, a lot of it's faith and not being ridiculous. I mean, you do have to stretch yourself a bit when you start a business to take it seriously because you need a good website. It's pivotal. You have to invest in the things that are going to make your business succeed. And obviously, it slightly depends what you're trying to achieve. I'm now trying to achieve a global brand. So I want to get more business in America. I have to have a good website. I have to have social media. So the biggest financial challenges have been believing actually, firstly, it's your pricing. It's having that belief in yourself and then setting your prices. I think for women, we don't like doing that. We're not money orientated.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
We really struggle with having the faith in ourselves that we're very good at what we do, and actually we can charge what we want to charge. Biggest hurdle.
It's all a matter of self-worth. I mean, because a lot of women have that problem of being really challenged around self-confidence and self-worth. Well, obviously that translates into what you think is acceptable, because it's putting a price tag on you, in fact, where in reality that's not how we should be looking at things. We should be looking at the benefits for the person. What is the value for the person? How is that changing their life? And that's when they see it as an investment instead of a cost. That makes all the difference.
Yeah, and all of that comes back to what you are as a person, because as an entrepreneur, you are your USP.
Absolutely.
All my experience dealing with all those things I've dealt with and all the people, but all my creative experience as well, makes me a stylist that's different. I don't just throw a colour wallet to someone and say, oh, there you go, off you go, you're a summer. So I've got a very wholesome approach to styling, and it's about you. It's about styling you and helping you achieve what you can. So I'm bringing my experience and my lessons to my clients, and that was a very hard thing for me to get my head around, and also not comparing yourself to others. That's
I love that one,
because we can easily say, oh, there are so many stylists out there, so many, and very few are independent like I am. Most are aligned to kind of a styling group or franchise. But they charge a certain thing and they work a certain way. But actually, I'm not like them for so many reasons. So I put value on what I do because of the way I do it and because of me. And I don't think of others that now. I look. You have to look at your competitors, of course, on some level. But like you say, you have to put the value on what you do and how you do it. And that's a really big lesson I've learned.
How did you manage to move toward I'm worth it? My services are worth it, to put a price tag on it and not be shrinking at the thought of asking for money for what you do, as women can do. How did you move to that?
So I really started, I got testimonials. The minute someone would have my services, I'd email them or ask them, say, please can you tell me what you thought? And I wouldn't just write it down or do something with it, social media. I read it and I absorbed it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a good one.
And the more I did that, the more it was like, I don't know, it was like making a pot of, well, like making a cake, you know, you start off with a bit of mixture. And then eventually this cake gets really big. And you look at this cake and you actually, that's how,
I may not be that bad after all.
I am good. I am very good at what I do. And you allow yourself, and this is part a bit of a challenge for British people, I think, because we're not very good at blowing our own trumpet.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing I've actually got better at doing is actually saying, no, I'm a very good stylist. I'm one of the best. I'm an expert in colour. But that doesn't sit very well with the British psyche.
So I understand, yeah.
So that's another thing. But if you can't blow your own trumpet, who's going to?
Exactly.
Nobody. And again, networking has really helped me do that, because you have to stand up and say, okay, I am the best because of X, Y, and Z. And actually, I think all those things combined, the testimonials, the feedback, and you know, amazing. I've had feedback from professional stylists now, like the John Lewis stylist in London, one of the leaders stylists. She said, "You're the best we've ever had in here, Jo." You know, stuff like that, and you actually take it as a nugget and you hold on to it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And you as a friend of mine says, you bank it for the days when you just have your waffles, because you still do your waffles. But that all helps you grow and self-belief, and eventually you start to grow and really believe that,
and I think that for the viewers, what is important to realize is that saying that you're good is not the same thing as bragging. It's just saying that you're good because you are good, you can prove it, etc. I think that bragging at some point is when you are ultimately, how would you say that in English? You're making it all far louder than it deserves to be. That for me is bragging. Where if you're just stating something that, well, you can prove, and you're just saying, that's all. That's for me completely valid. And that's what I definitely don't hear you bragging.
Oh, good. Yeah. I mean, we need to take a lesson out of the Americans, but and there's an amazing coach called Esther Stanhope who does a lot of public speaking, and she says about finding your inner American, and actually saying, well, look, hey, you know, I'm good at this. I can do this, and that is something we find very uncomfortable to do.
Yeah, it's a matter of education, society. In France, it would be the same. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Jo, I'm becoming conscious of time. So tell us a bit more about where people can find you, and you know what type of services you have, etc. So that people who are interested can come and see you or contact you.
Yeah. So I have a 4-step process. So I help you literally recreate your wardrobe, your image, your style, your makeup even. And so it starts with a colour analysis, if you haven't had one already. I'll say at this point, 2/3 of my clients have been given the wrong colour analysis.
Oh, is it?
Because colour analysis is a system of using drapes, which I do use, but I don't need to use because I have a talent for seeing colour. I have an ability to see colour. So a lot of my clients have been given the wrong season. And that is to do with colour of hair, eye and skin. And unfortunately, if the 3 of those don't match up, then you can be given the wrong season, basically, without going too much into it. But,
so season, for people who don't know, we're not familiar with the term, that is the matching colors, a family of colors that they can that suit their specific skin and eyes and etc.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can show you my color chart, but basically it's there are 4 seasons: summer, winter, spring and autumn, and it's based around the whole concept of actually colors. Every single color pretty much is either warm or cool. So it has a yellow base or a blue base. So everyone is one of those 4 colours. And the way I use, and this is my own unique system of colour, I've simplified this. I've made the system specifically easy for my clients, and my clients discover their zing colours. So everyone has 6 colours within a palette of colour. So all these different colours they can wear, but there's 6 or 7 that really, really work for them. No makeup, most awful night's sleep, middle of winter, it doesn't matter. They absolutely lift you. They make you look younger. They take away the shadows, the lines, everything. They're like the magic pen colour. So that's the system I use, and that's the first step. So I will show you colours you will, as happened with me, that you thought I would never ever be able to wear that colour, and you'll see what it does to your skin tone and what it does to you, and it's transformational. It's absolutely incredible. It never fails to be an incredible thing to experience. And that's the first step. And then the second step is to go to your home and actually show you your wardrobe, and decipher through your wardrobe the colours that work. And then I bring into the styling. So I style people to suit them. I suit their body shape, also their charisma, their energy, their business. So I style people for their branding as well, because all these things matter. I don't believe in...
Oh, absolutely.
You know, some styling groups put people into boxes and say, well, you're a X, Y, and Z. You must only wear this, that, and the other. I think as long as you know what the tricks are for your body shape and your style, then you can incorporate how you want to dress. My style is eclectic. Some days I'll dress a certain way, others another way. But I know what to do that suits my body shape. That's the pivotal thing. It doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are. There are ways you can learn. So that's the second part. So I recreate your wardrobe with all those things in mind. And then I take someone personal shopping. So that's the most exciting time, I think, because I incorporate the colour, the style, and it's all ready for you on a rail of clothes in the changing rooms. So you can walk to the door. If you want to, you don't even need to go on the shop floor. Some clients don't even want to go on the shop floor. And often at the department stores, they can come in, my clients come in, and I have a rail of their perfect clothes ready for them. So they can pick them up, they try them all on, and they are always amazed by just what that perfect, it's a formula. And I use a formula, and that formula of those amazing clothes never fails to be the best shopping because it's not just about fashion, it's not just about fit, it's all those things combined. And then finally, I do a makeup mastery. So I actually take people through their makeup, because obviously colour is important to makeup as much as clothes. Yes. And if you're wearing the wrong colours on your eyes, most people should wear brown mascara, not black.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I agree. I don't have to tell you, but...
Well, but everyone buys black mascara. I have my own range of makeup. I do brown mascara, which flatters most skin tones in this country. Very few people in this country can actually wear black. They don't have the right skin tone for it. So it can look very harsh. And if you're putting on a very thick black mascara around your eyes, it can have a big impact. It can actually look quite aging, I think, and quite overdone. If you replace it with brown mascara, it looks much more natural, and you look just well rather than made up. So I do makeovers too, and I coach people through the way to apply makeup. I've been a makeup consultant, well, qualified twice as a makeup consultant in my past. So I bring all these. So it's a whole package of not transforming, because I don't like that word. It's actually embracing what you are and making you look, more importantly, feel the best you can for you at home, personally, but also for your business. So
That's amazing.
I do a lot.
Where can people find you?
My website is jobaldwintrott.com.
That's an easy one.
That's an easy one, yeah. And there's only one of me, thanks to my my marital status. There's only one of me, and yeah, my email is info@jobaldwintrott.com. But I'm Instagram, Colour First, and Twitter, everything Colour First, or Jo Baldwin-Trott, and also YouTube as well. I've got some lovely little videos on there with tips of how to look at colour differently, some makeup tips, just shopping tips and all sorts.
So excellent. Just one quick last question before we go. I'm not sure if it's feasible for everything, but you can work virtually as well. I mean, the shopping part is more difficult, of course, but everything else you can do virtually as well, I suppose.
Yeah, I recently had a client in Australia. I'm hopefully going to go there soon, but couldn't go there soon enough for her. But yeah, I do virtual consultations online because, as I say, I can see colour. I don't need with someone with drapes. I want to, because I want to show you the colours that work, but I can also advise on styling. But like I say, I'm building a client base in America at the moment. So obviously some clients I deal with virtually for there. So yeah, and if anyone's just interested, then just get in touch. Colour analysis and colour and styling has been around for a long, long time, but I do it in a very different way. It's very modern, it's fresh, and it's all exciting. It's not the bland way it used to be.
Love it. Thank you so much, Jo. This really was fascinating. So for the viewers, if you're interested in living your life to its full potential, and obviously I would be calling upon Jo by the time we reach the point where you want a color analysis, etc. I wouldn't do that. That is definitely not my forte. But if you're interested in, as I said, live your life to its full potential, translate that into your business as well, you can go to my website for a complimentary discovery consultation. And my website is agnesvanrhijn.com. So that is ANYESVANRHIJ. So I don't remember my name anymore. agnesvanrhijn.com. ANYESVANRHIJN.com. Thank you so much and see you in the next interview. Bye.
Bye.